I'd like to introduce Diana Cavagnaro. She is a milliner that is a professional hat maker, and she's right here in Alpine. I'm excited that you're all here today. Diana.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Welcome, I'm so excited to be here. And I like to share with everyone my passion and my love for making hats, so I hope I'll inspire all of you. I teach classes in there, and here is one of the classes that I teach. And people come, and right now I'm trying to do around one a month. Because I teach also at Mesa College, and I have 3 classes there. Now before COVID, what I started doing was I thought it'd be so cool to have other milliners from around the world come in my studio and teach classes. So on the left there, you can see Jane Stoddard from Sydney, Australia, and she came and taught 2 different days of classes. Then the one on the right is Jay Cow from Toronto, and she came and taught classes for 2 days also. This one was in flower making, and Mella Hayden lived in, well, she's in Oregon now. So she's a longtime teacher, and she came down and taught all about flower making. Now you wonder how I got my start in hats. You probably think, how did you ever think about having a career in making hats? Well, I got my start at the Old Globe Theater, and I worked several seasons there doing hats and costumes. And when I was through, I thought, oh my gosh, I was really lucky. I was able to make every kind of hat you could think of. And I just enjoyed it so much. And I asked him, you know, while I was there in the costume department, if I could go into millinery. And that's because my head was larger and I couldn't wear regular hats. So I really wanted to learn how to make them. And it was really exciting that I did. So I got to learn how to make every kind of conceivable hat you can think of. And I was really lucky because it could have been just all three musketeer hats that I was making, but it ended up being a little bit of everything. Then one thing I started doing was making hat making videos, and this was my first one. And right now I have a fascinator hats on video, flat pattern design, and I teach these classes also at Mesa, working with buckram. So this buckram is a size cotton, and you can block it and then cover it with fabric. Working with felt, and felt is a huge trend right now. Everybody loves felt, and everybody wants to have a felt hat. So most people that email me go, can you have a felt hat class? Can you have a felt hat class? Then the other thing I'm working on, and I'm almost done, is a book on how to make hats. And I'm actually real close to having it finished, so I'm really, really excited. I also sell my videos on streaming through the Hat Academy in Australia. Now, one of the other things that I do is I'm a fashion columnist and photographer. And for over 20 years now, I've gone out to as many fashion shows as I can find in San Diego and photograph them and write about them. One of the things I've done is a lot of TV appearances, especially for opening day at the races. And I've been I've had appearances over 50 times going on, and I'll bring models and my collections and show people about what the trends are and the colors and everything. So this is one that I did with Channel 8. And I don't know if any of you remember Alexis Del Chiara from KUSI. She just had such a darling personality. And so I loved going on with her. And she would try the hats on because she loved hats. So a lot of times when I go on TV, the announcers go, "Oh no, don't put that on my head because it'll mess up my hair." So I always love it when I go on TV and the announcers love hats and they can't wait to try all the ones on that I brought. Another thing that I've done is fashion shows, and I've done a lot of fashion shows. This is LA Market Week, and a little bit of everything that I had then. I was so fortunate when Zandra Rose lived here. You know, when COVID came, she moved back permanently to London, but her partner lived here in Solana Beach, and she was here for over 20 years. And every year she did a fashion show at the Westgate Hotel. And she asked me to do hats for a lot of her fashion shows, which was just thrilling for me. Drop my water, sorry. So these are some of the shows that I did with her. And she's coming out with a new book, so I'm hoping that she'll go back to San Diego for an appearance at Barnes & Noble or something like that to promote her new book. The Westgate is so elegant, it was really wonderful to do fashion shows there. This was a special one. Zandra Rose had a clothing collection at the Menge, and then they did a fashion show. I do fashion shows here in San Diego, and this is one for Mill Fleurs with all my hats and all the models. Opening day at the races is such a big thing here in San Diego, and a lot of things lead up to it. Now, you never know what's going to happen when a stylist takes your hats to go do a photo shoot. This was a pleasant surprise for me because the photo shoot turned out amazing. And this one, the outfit she's wearing is by the designer Dior. The jewels are Harry Winston, and the hat's Diana Cavagnaro. So that was a pleasant surprise when I found out about that. This is LA Fashion Magazine that I was in, and it was a bridal section. Now, Fine Magazine, I used to, they take my hats, the stylists, for photo shoots, especially when it's opening day at the races. And so this year they took my hats, and then all of a sudden on email, they sent me the PDF of the magazine when it came out, and I was on the cover. So I go, oh wow, this is too cool, very exciting. This was a Far Travel magazine. And then the other magazine here in town, Ranch and Coast, a lot of times their stylists will come and get my hats for a photo shoot for the magazine. They always do really high quality, and I'm always really excited to be in their magazine. This was at La Jolla Country Club that they did. See how beautiful the grounds are? They just maintain the grounds so beautifully. Now, for 5 or 6 years, I had my hats in Misaki Masuka, and that's a Japanese line of clothes. I'm wearing one of their outfits right now. It's like Izzy Mizaki, where it's all crinkled, great for traveling. Anyway, this is up in Fashion Island up in Newport Beach, and I've had my hats up there for, like I said, 5 or 6 years, and then just about 6 months ago, he decided to close the store down. So I'm not exactly sure what he's doing right now. I was disappointed because we always did a lot of fashion shows, and I always got to meet a lot of people up there selling hats. So now, how many of you have heard of La Jolla Fashion Film Festival in La Jolla? So that was, I think it was 13 years that they went on. This last summer, he took a break. I don't know if he's going to come back. But I always covered it with the newspaper, and so I got to meet all these photographers and writers and people from around the world that would come with their short fashion films. And it was really, really exciting to meet them. So I met Antonio there, right in the middle. And one year he came to me and he said, well, I'm going to do a short film this year, and can we put your hats on the models? And I said, oh, that sounds very exciting. Then he asked me if they could film it at my house. So that's in my patio there that you can see. So that his film was probably about 10 minutes. A lot of the fashion films were only like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but it was a great opportunity, and I just loved making all of these hats. It was very exciting. It was nominated for Best Costume, and the actual garments came from a designer in South Africa. They were just beautiful. The next year, Antonio decided that he was going to do a musical, and so here's the group for the musical, and I made those hats too. Then the next year, he did another film. It was called Falling Leaves, and there are 2 of my hats, and it was nominated for Best Accessories.
Oh, yeah.
It was really exciting in 2019. London Hat Week accepted 3 of my hats that were on display, and so I actually went there in 2019 for that. Now, just recently, the Queen's Hat exhibit in Milan, Italy, I sent my hats, and it was a collection of peacock feathers. So I'm really into recycling and upcycling things, and when you see things, don't throw them away, figure out what you can make with it. Well, my neighbor has white peacock feathers, and so she gave them to me, and I tried 3 to 5 different things to clean them, and I couldn't figure out how to get them clean. So I said, you know what? I'm dyeing them pink. I'm dyeing these feathers fuchsia. So they didn't look dirty anymore. So anyway, this was one of the ones that I sent off to Milan. So it was in March during Fashion Week. Now here are the white ones. My neighbor came and said, okay, you dyed those fuchsia, but can you make a white hat? I just would love to see a white one with the white peacocks. So they're not albino. It's called Mutation of the Indian Blue Peafowl. And so I made this, they're called percher hats. When they put it on the mannequin, it's on backwards, actually. You can't believe how many fashion shows I go to, and they'll put on that hat backwards or going wrong. And it's like, okay, that's how you envisioned it? Okay. So anyway, this one just turned out incredible. I just absolutely love it. This was another one that it has white flight feathers from the peacock on it. And this is a wonderful straw that I used, and lace and pearls to make this hat. Okay, now my neighbor has white peacocks, but guess what? We have a wild peacock. and we named him Willie. So last September, he dropped most of his feathers, and I picked them all up and saved them. And there's actually a Peacock magazine. They had in there how to clean them. So it's kind of like a 2-day process of how to get rid of all the parasites or viruses or bacteria or anything that might be on them, because I don't want to have people wearing them that are going to be worried about getting anything. So anyway, I figured out how to do all that, and then here was the hat that I sent off to them. Now here was another one, and these are actually, the brown are the flight feathers from Willie. So he has some, and he's actually a black-shouldered peacock. And so I was excited to make that. And he has some brown and white ones too, like a chocolate brown and white. So I've collected those, and I'm still going to make a hat with that one. Now here, I did a photo shoot just before I sent these off to Italy. And here is the model wearing the fuchsia hat. And here is, I just adore this picture. She is actually Miss Earth from, I don't think it was last year, I think it was 2022. And so she's really into sustainability and upcycling everything. And I thought that it was so great to have her, be modeling my hats when I'm trying to emphasize that. So I was really, really excited to have her as a model. And the way I met her was through a Fashion Week San Diego Swim Fashion Week. So I went to cover it, and that's how I met her. She was modeling for them. Now here's another one, and this is the one with the flight feathers from Willie. And then here's Willie's hat on the model. I was really excited to do a photo shoot before I sent these off to Italy. And then here are the flight feathers from the white peacocks. Now this is a hat that I made for Hat Talk magazine. I sent off to Hat Talk magazine, and these are the blue macaws. They're yellow on the other side. Wow. This is one of my favorite hats that I've ever made.
Is the top of the feathers also?
Yes. The top of it is the little small feathers from the bird. And then the other side is yellow, and then that top is blue. So it's just an incredible hat. And she's a model, so I was really excited to take that picture. Now, in 2019, I got a PR person in London, and they had a showroom. So stylists and editors would come and take my hats for photo shoots. And this one was Overdue magazine. It was a brand new magazine, and I was so excited to be in their first issue. And that is perforated leather, silver. This is U.S. pop star Haley Kiyoko. I don't know if any of you know her. It was in the Phoenix magazine, the UK version. And I really love black and white photography. The hat's actually black and red, but she really rocks it, I think. This was during London Fashion Week, and this is Gurley, singer-songwriter, and so she wore that to Fashion Week. I don't know how many of you know Todrick Hall. He's quite famous. He's friends with Taylor Swift. They're buds. And so he took my hat, and that was in Voyeur magazine. He certainly looks like he likes it. So that was very amazing to have him wearing my hat. This is Cage the elephant. He's an American rock star. And obviously he was over in London when the stylist got the hat for him to wear for a concert. This is El Humo Vogue, And as I mentioned to you before, you never know what somebody's going to do with your hat. When the stylist gets it, what are they going to do with it? Well, the stylist put my hat on the shoulder. So you see my hat on the shoulder? Okay, and that's what you like. This was El Serbia. This particular style is one of my favorites. I always like to put some kind of little ditty at the top of a beret. You know, when people look at hats, it makes them smile. I think that's one of the reasons why I love doing it so much. You can't have a bad day if you have a hat on. Everyone you meet, they smile. This is British singer Cassiette, and this was supposed to be outer space. It was for Instagram, I think. Anyway, it was pretty cool. Now, one of my biggest times during the year is always the Del Mar racetrack. And I was so fortunate when they first started the hat contest they had at Del Mar. It wasn't until the second year they came to me and I said, well, we need to market this to get people here. So we were wondering if you'd be happy to help us market this, go on TV. We'll figure out all the segments that we'd like you to do, and we'll just email you, and then you can go. So for 17 years I did that. For 17 years I would go on TV and I take models and show what the latest styles are, the trends, the colors, and it was pretty exciting. And there weren't a lot of other people in San Diego that were doing hat making at that time. Now I've taught so many people over all these years, there's a lot of people that are doing hat making now. So these are some of the ones from the racetrack. Now the races are big all over the world, and people want hats to wear to the world, to the places that they're going. So the Kentucky Derby is always a big one. And you can see here, people ask me, okay, when people come to your studio, do they bring the dress and ask you to make the hat? Or do they tell you what hat they want you to wear and then they go out and buy the dress? Well, this particular person bought the dress, and so then I made the hat to go with it.
Yeah.
It was silk chiffon. Silk chiffon. And I made the embellishment there. You can see, once I first got started doing hats, I found out that you can't go to the store and find what you want. So either they don't have what you want or they have it in the wrong color. So I spent so many years trying to learn how to make all the embellishments, and that's what I really, really love to do. Here's two more at the Kentucky Derby. And this hat went to the Kentucky Derby. I always ask my customers, okay, when you wear this hat, can you take a picture and send it to me? But some of them are good about doing that, and then some of them, I don't get the hat picture. This one went to the Royal Ascot. And then I had a customer who went to the Royal Ascot all the time. She was a horse owner. And she said, I don't want to take any more hat boxes. Can you make me something that I can throw in my suitcase? So this is a hat that'll squish. And then what I did was I made the outside so it snaps on and it'll just come off, and she can change it from time to time with different colored scarves. And she was just delighted. This was exactly what she wanted. Do you remember the Royal Polo match in Santa Barbara? Channel 8, came and interviewed me about it. And so it was really, really a big deal. So this is one of my customers with Giada De Laurentiis. And I was making her another hat. And then 2 days before she changed her mind, she said, oh, I'm not wearing that. Can you make me this hat? And usually I say no, because, I'm not that much of a magician. But I went ahead and made that in 2 days. And then you can see her on the right with the actress Molly Sims. Now, one of the other things that I've done is I made bob caps for people going through chemotherapy. This was, I made this to start with for my father who was going through chemotherapy. His name's Robert, so I named it Bob Cap. And after I made those, I started selling them at places where people ski and do snowboarding. The younger people just loved them.
What are they made of?
Just a fleece, a stretch fleece. And then I put together a pattern for people to make chemotherapy hats. And I organized different sewing groups and different churches to do that. And so we made over 2,000 that we donated to local hospitals. This one was for children. And so here's the pattern. I still have that and sell it. And it's for adults or children. What I found was when people are going through chemotherapy, when you lose your hair, hats will fit, you'll lose about half an inch. So if you make a little skull cap to put underneath it and then put the hat over it, then you're good to go. And a lot of people didn't want to wear wigs because they're scratchy when you have a bald head. So I really enjoyed making this, and I'm still selling it. Also, every year for 13 years down in the gas lamp, I had the Easter Parade and Hat Contest where we raised money for children's cancer at UCSD. And the kids would come and make hats, and then we'd have different judges that would come and give prizes, and we'd have an Easter egg hunt. And oh my gosh, I really enjoyed it because it was a family day in the gas lamp where, most of the things in the gas lamp are not family days. So we did this for 13 years. And here are some awards that I have received. Channel 10 Leadership Award for my work with cancer patients. The Fashion Group International gave me the Style Award in 2003. The American Cancer Society gave me the National Award for a volunteer for the Look Good, Feel Better program. And so what I did for over 20 years, I would go to, they'd have these little, probably about 10 people would come that are going through cancer, and so I would show them how to tie scarves and the different things that they could do to wear a hat. And then they also had other people there that were showing them how to do makeup and how to make their skin feel good. Anyway, I did that for 20 years, and so they gave me an award, which was very exciting. They flew me to Boca Raton, and so I had a 2-day vacation there. Here was a lifetime achievement down in the gas lamp. Well, I've gotten to do a lot of local celebrities, which is very exciting. And here's Pat Brown. And Morgan Fairchild. Okay, this was a nighttime sitcom called Fashion House. And the stylist came to my studio and wanted me to make a hat. She looked at one of my hats and she said, well, can you make it in red? And she had the little camisole that went with that suit. And she said it needs to be, matched with this. And during the time, I kept calling her and saying, well, what size is her head? Because if it doesn't fit, it's not going to look good. So I kept calling, and finally, after about 3 weeks, she said, just make it. She's always got curlers in her hair. I can't measure her head. So I made it, and you can see that it looks like it wasn't too big or too small, so I guess I was in the ball game. This is Kimberly Hunt at the races. A lot of times I would have the announcers from the TV come to me and ask if they could wear one of my hats because they used to take and set up at the racetrack and announce from the actual racetrack. Sandra Moss. One time I was going on TV and I had just made that hat. And so she comes running after me. She goes, "I want that hat. Don't sell it to anybody else." I said, "Okay." And she looks fabulous in it. Aloha Taylor. She was on 6, wasn't she? Or 5? But I haven't seen Bridget Naso, I don't know if you remember her. She started off. Alexis Del Chiaro, I had mentioned her before, and it was such a joy to always make a hat for her because look how happy she is. She loved hats. And so what we did for, I think it was 3 years straight, she would do Twitter, it was either Instagram or Twitter, she would ask people which hat they liked the best. So during the morning segments, she would change her hat every hour. And then she would ask them, "Well, what hat do you like the best?" I think it was Twitter. Very, very fun. It's a great way to advertise for my hat. I used to do a calendar. I had a great graphic designer, and so we would do a calendar every year. But I haven't done that for a while. That was one of the things I did. Now here are some of my hats. This was down in the gas lamp. This was in a house in La Jolla. Okay, on the right is a potato sack hat that I made. I made a hat out of a potato sack.
Wow.
So I just love to recycle things. Okay, on the right there are ties. So I went to a thrift store and found lots of ties, and then I started making all the hats in monochromatic colors. So one hat would be mostly pink, another would be mostly red, green, blue, and those are really, really popular.
Where do you get all the models?
Well, it helps that I'm going out to all these events and I meet them.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You've got a good fun directory.
Yes. But there's that hat again that went to the races. And I really love making big hats because when you go to the races, everybody wants a big hat. They want to go and be noticed. And you can't be noticed if you don't have a big hat on. So I remember for a while I kind of stopped making them because it was hard to get a hat box big enough to put them in. That's a Panama straw, and that's a gingham cotton that I made all the embellishments with. And who would ever think that you could make gingham cotton look so sophisticated, right? I love it. This is some rawhide, or deer hide from, my father killed the deer and gave me the hide. So I thought I wanted to make something out of it. Fascinator. Well, yeah, they used to wear it back in England, but Kate Middleton really made fascinators popular, and everybody imitated it and wanted to wear them. Yeah.
We used to call them cocktail hats.
Yeah. The bigger ones I still call cocktail hats, but the younger generation doesn't know what you're talking about. This is Mongolian lamb and then silk flower. So I like to take different kinds of supplies and put them together that you wouldn't think you would put together. This is a fascinator. This is one of my favorite styles to make. The thing is, when you wear a fascinator, you have the feathers. When you walk, the feathers move, and it's just so sophisticated.
So none of that's her hair, that's all feathers that we see?
Yes, that's all feathers.
Wow.
Yes. There's some, when I used to go to New York, I would buy, there's feather places in New York. That's all they sell. Yeah, there is some in LA too. That's a gorgeous silk. It's really heavy, and so it made a beautiful, beautiful flower. So I combined straw and horsehair. And a lot of times I use vintage terms. So some of this is vintage that's on here. And that blue hat that you just saw, this was an ad for Riviera Hotels in Palm Springs. That's cinnamon straw. Now, the most fun that I've had in hat making is making hats for my dog, Lamb. And we did agility. I taught him tricks, and he was a therapy dog. So here we are at the Good Samaritan, and here's Franklin Elementary. So for 4 years we went there every week, and the kids read to him. We'd sit on the floor, and the kids would come up and read. And the statistics are that kids will improve 30% by reading to a dog, because they're inhibited to read to a person. So when I found out they were doing Dr. Seuss, I made a Dr. Seuss hat for them. Isn't that darling? Now this is a video I did with a girl who's a professional drummer. And so we did a little video where Lamb learns to play the drums. I taught him over 50 tricks. And so I taught him how to play the drums with his hand. Anyway, I made them matching hats that kind of look like Chanel with a chain on it. I had so much fun. Here is a fashion redo that Mesa College does, and every year the students will go down and look at 5 different garments from a different decade, and then they will be inspired and come up with new outfits. And so some of the times I would put my hats on the models for them when they were doing their final photo shoot, and then this year Lamb Chop modeled for them. Now, what I have coming up is a fascinator class, and that's going to be on May 4th in my studio here in Alpine. And then here are my different social media. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to start doing podcasts. And so I would love it if you would go on and subscribe to my YouTube. And then when I'm doing a new podcast, they'll let you know, and then you can go on and watch it. So we're going to film our first one next Wednesday. We'll have to edit it and everything, so I don't know when it'll be up. But there's all my social media if you would like to follow me. I have 2 interns right now who, one of them is doing my Instagram, another one's doing my YouTube and my website. So hopefully it's starting to look a lot better than it was before. When you're running a business and you're only one person, it's hard to do all of it.
What's your podcast going to be called?
My name. And so if you go on YouTube, it'll, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to interview other people who are designers and things in the business. So the first one I'm going to do is Christian Moore. And when we did the photo shoot before I sent the hats off to Milan, it was her clothes that we used. So I'm going to interview her and she went to Vancouver Fashion Week, and I think it's really exciting. Being a journalist, everybody has a story, and I love interviewing people and finding out about what their story is. Anyway, does anyone have any questions that you'd like to ask me? Yes.
I have a couple. First off, did you realize as a child that you were very creative, and did your mom seamstress or something? Is that what got you started? And then I want to know how many hats you actually own. And I want to know if there's any boys or men in your classes.
Yes, I have men and boys. When I did only women till my hats were in London, and then all the stylists came and got my hats and put them on guys. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yes, when I was young, I made my first little doll dress with beads and sequins when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And I started playing the piano when I was 5. And my mother came from the 40s, and women then, when they sewed, it was like tailoring what they did. So they were really, really, compared to nowadays, when I'm teaching, some students have never threaded a needle.
Oh, wow.
So it's changed, and a lot of it has to do with the schools. They don't have home ec in the high schools anymore. So I think that's really sad that people don't even know how to thread a needle and sew a button on, don't you? Did I answer all your questions? No? Which one did I not answer?
How many hats do you have in your collection just for you,
Oh, well,
approximately?
Well, what happened was people started giving me hats. So I have 400 hats, vintage hats. You know, most of them are 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do right now is make a database of that and start renting them out to stylists and photographers. So if they would like to use them for photo shoots. My own, I have a lot. I mean, I've never added them up, but
Do you ever display them on the walls or?
no. No. Huh?
They would get dusty.
They would get dusty, yeah, especially the white hats. Any other questions? Yes.
Okay, I wear hats when I drive my horses, either in shows or in parades. And the horses are trotting, so you're going fast when the wind blows. I can't wear the big hats like they did at Milliner. How do you keep the hats on? My hair is too fine for bobby pins nowadays. What do you do? What can I do?
Elastic.
Where do you get it?
In Joann's.
Oh, okay.
So you can put elastic in there, and you can put it in the back. Or, you know, sometimes they used to have it with ribbon where you tie it in your chin. Have you ever tried that? Or does that ruin the look?
No, I wouldn't bother the horse, but I remember we used to get the round elastic that had little metal pieces at either end.
Yes.
I can't find those.
Well, you just make your own. So you don't, if you don't buy it with metal, I think you just go to Joann, the round elastic, and
That's why I come to places like this.
and well, it works. Your hat's gonna stay on. And if that doesn't work, if the wind comes and blows it up, I would try putting something to tie under your chin.
Well, I'd have to have it in the front, because I don't have no hair in the back to hold it, and
Oh.
I'm back there.
Okay. So if
Nobody's close enough.
you're going for the look, I would do a beautiful ribbon.
Well, I was gonna say, nobody's close enough to us in the parades.
Except the horse.
Yeah, they're 20 feet, the people are 20 feet away, so we always say, remember we're wearing it for giving.
What's the most expensive hat you've ever made in terms of materials and time?
Probably I charge $1,200. Some of them charge $1,200. Why don't you show them your hats? Okay, she took my class 30 years ago. She bought her hat.
Oh,
This is why we take her class.
Did you make your own hat?
No, this is, I wore in the parade last year.
Oh, wow. So it's all sewn. I think I remember somebody in the class asked me about glue, and she said, no, we don't use glue, so it's all hand
I
sewn.
don't use glue.
And I actually had a pink sequin dress that I was gonna wear that year to a Christmas party for where I worked. And so this hat was made to go specifically with that dress, but it was a great class. We really had so much fun. It's buckram.
No, but I mean the actual base of the hat, what gives it the shape?
It's just satin on the inside.
Is it buck- oh,
Yes,
Underneath
look that up.
yeah, it's got this all sewn on top, and then the lining, and then we sew these little cones.
Tracy behind you is taking that class right now. She's brave. It's 100% online, so she came here to meet me.
That looks a little worse to wear, but I think it was over 30 years ago that I took this class. And,
So can you find the dress and send me a picture?
yeah, I think I still have the dress buried in my closet.
But you probably took a picture 30 years ago, didn't you? No,
I
we
think
didn't have.
somebody did, but I don't have the picture.
Oh.
Okay, so, anyways, I just kept it all these years in. The day before I saw the email, I was going through my closet and I was cleaning things out and straightening purses, and I looked at this little box and I thought, what's in that little blue and white box? I had no idea, and I opened it up and I was like, oh, my hat! And then the next day I see this email and I thought, okay, I'm going to this.
Well, that's wonderful, thank you for coming. I'll look forward for that picture.
Okay, I'll find it.
Any other questions? Yes?
Actually, it's another question. I just wanted to verify what you said about people respond to hats, and especially young people and children get a big kick out of seeing hats, and so do older people. And so, if you want to make friends anywhere, wear a hat.
I always found men love women in hats too.
I want to respond to that. You're exactly right. One of my girlfriends and I go out to eat lunch at different places wearing our hats, vintage hats. And never fails. People come up to you and say, you remind me of my grandma. I am grandma, okay? The idea is that they remember a beautiful memory of someone they loved, and nobody wears these hats in general anymore, so when they do see one, they get excited. It kind of generates. Yes, it is. Beautiful.
I remember the first hat I made was in kindergarten when we made them for Easter. They were paper plates and ribbons, and we decorated them. I don't remember what the boys did, but I remember our kindergarten class marching around the school singing "In Your Easter Bonnet" with all the frills upon it. And the other students would come to the classroom door to see the little kindergartners. And we had our little bonnets tied with ribbon under our chin.
Wow.
But we made those in kindergarten.
Wonderful.
So when you take your class, do you have to bring all the ingredients to the hat, or do you supply it
I put a kit together,
for
a
everybody?
starter kit, yeah.
Okay. And so everybody works on the same style of hat?
No,
Oh,
there's 3 different shapes
okay.
you can decide from. So
Okay.
in the end, everybody's hat looks different. None of them look the same. So.
She gave us the basics, and then because I was gonna match this dress, that's when I went and found the sequins and then all the other little things, yeah. And she just guides you through the whole
It
process.
takes 2 days.
What's your very favorite hat that you've ever made? Do you have one?
Well, they're like my children. So it's like, would be hard to say which one you like better. But I would say that blue macaw hat was one of my favorites. It's just incredible. But I love also my new peacock collection. So I'm going to have lots of fun. And Wild Willie comes over every day, like between 9 and 10, and he'll go, ah, make his noise. And so I'll go out and throw him some dog food. He likes his protein, so he keeps coming around every day. Well, thank you so much. I just love sharing my passion with everybody, and I never get tired of making a hat. Every day I get up. I still love it. I've just never gotten tired of it. So I like to inspire other people to enjoy making hats too, or buying them and wearing them, one or the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana, that was terrific. Next, only buy a tour of the house. That is what.
Yeah, it's amazing.